would be the parking.
Yes, I remember that, and I'm not sure it was ever fully resolved at that time either, was it?
It was very
never was.
complicated, but that's why we didn't have to get so much parking behind, because the building was going to extend quite a ways out the back.
Yeah, in order to have an egress from a parking lot that goes into the banking parking lot, we also have to have an easement approved by another abutter who owns the lot in front of the funeral home, that parking lot. That is attached to a private residence that is on the other side of the bank. And the last time we were going through this, he was not interested in devaluing his property by giving an easement. He wanted the town to buy the property.
But then he sold it. He doesn't own it anymore.
Yeah, I think it's a new owner.
What?
I thought they were just renting it. But I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure.
Dawn says she thinks John Petralia still owns that parking lot.
Oh, the parking lot, but not the house.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because the house had a funny deed, or not deed. There was an easement already going across it or something. There was, and I remember Bill Cundiff was trying to.
Right, there must be.
Yeah, it's
somewhere
kind of an easement mess
an
because the
easement.
bank has an easement over it, and like there's the funeral home. Where's it at? North Street. North Street.
Well, can we just go back to, are we open to the possibility that we might have to move to another lot?
Right, and then that would be.
Because all these details are going to have to be worked out with.
Exactly. So anyhow, what, again, going back to that question is what is there for alternate sites? We talked a little bit about this before, but
I mean, what we have built into the building program is, I believe, the VFW and the grammar school. But I mean, neither one of those has been fleshed out as an actual secondary site because we haven't really talked to anyone about that. I mean, like, would the town even be amenable? I don't know. We were just kind of throwing it in because we had to. But if we're going to actually do the grant, we have to do a little bit more than that.
Exactly. We'd have to say, all right, we would choose. My very first thought, well, location wise would be the grammar school. However, that's been empty for so many years. That's just a whole nother can of worms. The other site, the VFW, it's not right in the center of town, but
I don't. If you look at all the what people were looking for is convenient parking, accessibility, and so on. Even if it's not right downtown, I can't believe people wouldn't drive another half a mile or whatever it is to have all of those conveniences. And the grammar school will never afford that. There's not a lot of space there. I don't.
At the VFW or the
at the grammar school.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
There isn't. It's like 8,000 square feet, and it's not that much more. I mean, and what were you talking, Justin? 13,000 square feet,
right? There's no parking.
Like, what's the lot too? What's even the square footage on that lot?
Well, the VFW isn't big.
No, it isn't. And it's not in great shape either.
No.
I think it's a tear down for each of them.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think Ellie's right.
Yeah.
So the question really is, how much acreage is there? Is it big enough to support a building and sufficient parking? Because
Well-
we're talking about a brand new building, regardless. Right?
And
We're talking about
If you're
starting.
looking at being central, obviously the grammar school is central. If you're talking about one of our selling points is a community space where people can gather from all generations, you want to try to keep it walking distance in downtown, I would think. But I don't know. I don't know what's there for, yeah, again, flushing out parking spaces and everything like that.
so yeah, that would be 11 Gleason Court. It's 1.2 acres.
That's decent.
And we right now have 0.56 acres.
There you go.
So it's double. Okay.
Well, more than double. All right, so to move this along, to go to the next step on this, do we want to say that we would take the elementary school? Well, again, it has to, the town has to approve it. I mean, the powers that be would have to say, yeah, we'll let it happen. But do we want to say for ourselves that the elementary school would be the alternate space? What do you think?
Are we just addressing the MBLC grant or
Yes,
not? Oh, we're not.
absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
wait.
That's all we're doing right now. So we
Okay,
have to
so-
get past this first hurdle, which is having an alternate space, an alternate site. So right now, I'm suggesting the grammar school as our alternate site, pending approval from the town.
What would be the MBLC grant people, the planners, what would be their role in helping us develop a plan for a second site? I mean,
It would have to be one of the
that-
earlier things that's decided whenever they come in, because like based on, you know, a precursory study, like they call it like the schematic design process before you're actually building anything. You're coming up with a plan for how you would fit it all together. And so during the schematic design process, which would be the earlier part of it, there would probably be conversations, studies done based on our building assessment and looking at the other place and, you know, focusing in the feedback, people's feelings. I mean, I don't know exactly what the process will look like because it'll be a back and forth and a give and take. Once we have an architect that we're working with, it'll just be conversations and conversations and conversations, trying to get to an endpoint which will satisfy the MBLC's construction design protocols. They're what they're calling MPLC construction level of design.
Would there be, I know in the last time when we went through all of this, there was a building committee for the library that was done separately. And I think it was part of the grant process that we had to have a building committee.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to have a building committee again.
Okay, so that's not us. I mean, we can have one or two of us on it, but it would
Right, I think it would be different voices that need to be on there in the
And
town.
when does that come into play?
Yeah, but okay, Ellie, we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
Well, I think we're way ahead of us now because we have not voted
Right.
anything up that we are actually going for. And what was the agenda item? What did you say?
It's discussion and vote on applying for the grant.
Mm.
So right now we're talking about, can we agree on an alternate site? Or if we choose not to agree, then we're done with it. The vote is done because we have to have that. So,
I guess my question was, do we provide the alternate site without having it assessed by the architects or planners, or would that be part of the design process?
I mean, it can be part of the design process. The more legwork you have done up front, the more
Right.
the more competitive your grant application is going to be, basically.
Right.
We'll be
Right.
going into it with, we've got these other 2 parcels. Between now and then, we could get the town's, blessing. We could get Matt's blessing to say, we're going to work with you to do, whatever you need with those parcels if it is so decided. But that's all we've got so far.
yeah, and that's a good point, because another option for us as a board is to say that we would go along with, present those 2 sites to Matt and whoever else, and then we would go along with whatever they decide for whichever site would work for the town, because we obviously have to work with them, and we want to be as helpful as we can, and so that's another thought, is to have these 2 sites.
Or even give them the option of saying if there's another one that you
Yeah.
know of.
Yes, yes,
So like your assistance in identifying another
yes, absolutely.
I think it could go in the empty warehouse.
Right.
Plenty of parking,
Parking in the
lots of
building.
space for books.
Well, we considered a whole lot more places than 2 when we came up with a possibility, tried to find one before. But I have a question for Justin. When I was looking at the timeline for, you have to put in your intention to apply in April, and then there were a lot of other dates that people had to go to training sessions for the application. And they were in May, I think. Did anybody go to those?
Yeah, me and Matt both went to those.
Oh, you went to them, and
And
was
I
that?
I did it virtually. I attended one of the training sessions online.
And was that helpful for what we're doing now?
Absolutely.
Did it help?
Yeah.
Oh,
Why didn't anybody report on these? Or did we?
We did.
We did.
Yep.
It's and I think Kate, weren't you part?
Yeah, you did it too.
Yep.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We reported back last spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look back at my minutes.
I know, we should all read back all the minutes.
Forever.
It's a lot of information.
Yeah. So getting back to where we're at right now. How do we want to, proceed with a second site? And if we do, how do we want to do it? I like the idea of giving it to Justin to present the 2 sites we just talked about a little bit. Betty, you said there were other sites?
well, we spent a lot of time looking at all sides. I mean, right now, I think we're doing a limited search thinking of these 2 buildings when there's a lot of problems with both of them. I mean,
Right.
is
So
there
what other sites?
I don't know. Is there a plot of land somewhere that we would buy? I mean, I'm not happy picking it second site and let someone who's not a library person decide which is better, because there's things
Betty,
that library people think of that others don't.
Okay, but Betty, you said that in your previous application, you had the committee had come up with other sites besides the 2 we mentioned.
Not in the application. I don't think it was required. That's a new thing for this round of grants. We discussed, the building committee discussed a lot about possible sites, and every site that was brought up was not acceptable. But we I don't remember all the places we considered, but we eliminated those two. But we didn't have to choose a second one.
Okay.
So that's why we decided to stay there and try to work out this parking with permission slips and all that.
Right.
But I mean, if we had to pick two, I think we'd have to look a lot further than those two.
No, we just need to pick one.
I know, but both of those are bad choices. We need to find a better one.
Well, do you have any suggestions? Is what I'm asking.
No, that's why we stuck with the one we had.
Well, there is the stuff going on with the highway barn and I'm not sure if the fire station is still big enough, but so there is spots there that might eventually come up.
Where are they putting the new highway barn? Are
I don't
they
know.
staying there?
Well, they don't have much space there, I don't think.
No,
So,
but
They have plenty of they have a huge amount of space there.
who?
Hang on. That's another topic.
Oh, the fire department does. The highway barn does not.
Yeah. So, but we talked about this at the last meeting. In fact, I had brought it up as a kind of a municipal center, but I think we all pretty readily agreed that the library didn't fit in with the highway department and the fire department. So we
Well, I
kind
think
of,
they're thinking of a safety complex, and they're thinking of where the oil place was.
exactly.
Mobile.
That's it. And the library just doesn't really work there.
I know, but then that leaves a bunch of space, land that's not going to be used anymore. If they're moving over to the mobile place, then that, and I don't know if they are. I think
Right.
it's going to come up closer to the next annual town meeting than.
Well, we've got to have something before then. We have
Only
to,
if we're applying for the grant in March 2024.
right. We have to submit in March.
Do you think we're ready for this sort of thing?
Well, this isn't we don't know that, okay? Right now, we're going to take baby steps. So if we're not ready to commit to an alternate site, then my next step would be, yes, let's step back. Let's say no right now. And let's step back because we as trustees need to be united. We can't be wanting what I want or what you want. It's what the community wants. And our job is to keep the library open, make sure it's accessible. Well, we're trying to make it accessible to everyone, and that we work together with the community. So if we're not ready to commit to starting with an alternate site or different scenarios of how we'd go about it, then maybe we should just step back from this whole process right now. Unprejudiced at all, just say we're not ready.
Is
I don't
anyone,
think we're ready for a March 2024 grant application. I'll just say it. As the director, I don't think we're ready for March 2024. But I also don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I think I've said this before, but you know, the James Lonergan is new. This is going to be his first construction grant program as an MBLC, as the head of the MBLC.
Who is it?
Laura
Who is it?
is James Lonergan.
Okay, I don't.
Lundgren, I think it is.
Lundgren.
Is the LJUN?
Hold on 2 seconds, and I can tell you exactly how it is because I've got the MBLC. Where are you at? About us. Contact us and staff directory. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, James Lonergan. Lonergan.
Okay.
LON.
ERGAN.
Lonergan.
And Andrea Bonobunker, the library building specialist, is also new.
That is a perfect name
What's her name? Andrea
Librarian.
what?
BONO dash bunker.
Bono Bunker. Gosh.
Got it. I love it.
All right. And she's the building person. Okay.
She's part of it.
And they're not part, they just are brand new to the MBLC.
They're not brand new to the MBLC, but they're brand new. This is going to be the first construction grant round overseen by either of them, because the last one was a long time ago. So it's going to be both of their first rodeos, and this is the first time they've ever done a grant round like this before. I mean, every other one before, there's been a project and planning grant that you applied for first, and then afterward there was a construction grant. Now they're trying to cram it all into a 5-year period, and it may work really great. But there's also a value, I think, to sitting back and seeing how the first grant round goes, and then learning from that and being prepared for what the process is going to look like in the second grant round whenever they announce it, because they're going to learn too how to streamline the process. And that would give us 5 years to do some digging and come up with a good, satisfactory second site. It would give us 5 years to work on becoming unified, and speaking with unified voice and all that jazz. And I think I would rather do that than rush into something that we're not well prepared for and blow our shot.
Yeah.
Because if we do that and we don't succeed, it is blowing our shot. I mean, these are like once a generation.
It's not going to happen again.
Attempts to make. And the last one was almost a generation ago, 20 years ago. There's an entirely new generation of voters of,
Yes.
I mean, it's a different town than it was in 2020.
Absolutely. I was just going to say something and you made me forget.
All right.
But the whole thing of moving forward and being unified, I know the other side of it is we have to be ready to do it, pardon my English, but a shit ton of work.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we accept this, and it's not going to fall on Justin's head. It's going to be everybody who's a trustee is going to have to be involved, and we're going to have to be unified, and we're going to have to do it together. So, you know, we're missing two board members tonight. I'm not sure why, but we got to be unified, and this is an important vote right now. So,
So
go ahead.
this is Dawn. I missed some of the conversation, but I understood what Barbara was saying about there being, you know, a parking issue, in that neither the grammar school or the current location could suffice, where there was maybe some possibilities at the old VFW. But I also was wondering about the building facilities committee there, if there was any, you know, if we aren't unified and we take a little bit longer, is there any cause to meet with another group and see, you know, how we might go about having that other site possibility? Personally, I would hate to see it move from where it is, but there are some issues.
So
I've
you're
been
going,
inside both the grammar school and the VFW for the historic.
okay.
I was going to say, I've been inside both of the buildings with the historical commission, and I'd say the VFW is probably in better shape. But I'm sure that there's all sorts of dangerous, you know, needing to be contained sort of elements.
Okay, Don. So you're bringing it. You're going back to out to agree on an alternate site.
Again, I would. The first thought, you know, when the first question was posed, like if we wanted to go away from the site that we have, my gut reaction is no, I don't want to move away from the site that we have, but I don't know what our possibilities are as far as parking more than anything.
Okay.
So that's one question that needs to be addressed. The other question, as you all know, is, ownership.
Yep. We talked about that early on. Don, maybe you missed it, but
Yeah, sorry,
we
I did
talked
miss
about
it.
both things too for extensively, so we're good with that. Right now we're working on what do I say? Do we move forward? I mean, if we're going to move forward, we got to do it now. We got to decide now, and we have to be unified. To be honest, I'm not seeing all that unification right now.
Right.
Yeah, so.
But Danielle, it's so hard because some of us have seen the pros and the cons and the difficulties before.
I totally, yes.
On the one hand, you listen to the people are saying we want spaces to meet, we want spaces for quiet study time, and all those things are totally legitimate. They're also saying we want to be able to park. But the driving thing here is accessibility. I don't know how we can go forward to the next 5-10 years and people can't even get into the library. That doesn't,
And I agree.
But-
I agree.
but I don't know how to get through this dilemma. I really don't. I really want to do it. And okay, I say, forget about the current building. Let's find another space. Beautiful as the building is, hopefully it can be used for something. But we need to find a space for a modern library that's going to serve us for the next 5, 10, 30, 40 years. It's not going to be
Minimum of 30 years is what you're looking at.
how many?
30 is what you're looking at. When you
Okay,
do a
30
new
years.
building or renovations, you're looking at a minimum of 30 years for feasibility.
Then on the other side of the equation, and I was not actually directly involved in the program a generation ago. Got involved afterwards, but I remember one of the big issues was, okay, so you have a building 4 times the current size.
Right.
It's going to take 4 times as many people and a huge operational budget. And where's that going to come from? Who's going to buy that?
And I agree, and that's always been an issue.
Okay, but we haven't talked about that at all this time.
No, we haven't, because we're trying to get past. We're trying to be united in deciding if we want a second site.
And I'm expressing to you my dilemma.
I understand it, and I feel your pain. I have the same thing. I have the same exact thing. I've worked in the last 15 years of my career as an early childhood coordinator. I worked with libraries all over central Massachusetts, and I got a chance to see all of the buildings and the operations and the offerings and the family involvement. And yeah, my heart breaks that Douglas needs to be a place not for just young families, but for all generations. A chance for people to just say, hey, I'm going to go sit there for a while. I'm not going to go into the library. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to go into the library and hang out in that beautiful sunny room and sit on one of those horribly uncomfortable benches. I'd like a nice space there. And so yeah, I feel it.
But you read the comments, and thankfully there are people who do like it the way it is, and they appreciate the building for what it is, and they appreciate the staff, which is huge also.
Yes, absolutely.
And they appreciate the service. They talk about how well curated the collection is, and the other advantages like being able to borrow freely. And so there's that. But that's I can't I find it really hard to just figure out where to land, because on the one hand, also if we go forward now, that means that we get some visibility in the town. You may let people know we're trying to address this, maybe get some support.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
agree.
instead of letting it fester for the next 5
I
years,
want to give you a hug through the screen, Betty.
Betty.
That's not
I
not
mean,
me. That's
Barbara.
Barbara.
I'll give you a hug through the phone, Betty.
Well, then you get to hear my opinion, which is there's not only a two-part choice: apply for the grant now or apply for the grant next one that comes out. If we don't apply for this grant, it still gives us the option of doing something on our own
Right.
before the grant, which would not require us to have a second site. Because we
Right.
would be raising our own, we would have to hire architects and all that. But
Right.
it doesn't mean we can't do anything until the next grant.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that was another point that I was going to bring up. It's when we got through with this and figuring out where we're headed is we continue with our fundraising. And as Justin is proposing a very extended budget for next year, so programming and hours can be increased at the library, that alone is going to give us more of a voice on the public forum, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't do handicapped.
No, it doesn't. But if we continue with our fundraising, we can show we're working towards this. I'll tell you, I'm struggling to get up those front steps right now because I have some situations going on with my health. So, yeah, we need it. We need it bad.
Maybe we can lobby the new library commission, there's people to address the specific issues that we small libraries who aren't handicapped accessible and have other issues but who don't need to triple or quadruple their space or have other issues. There should be a grant program for those entities as well.
I think, to that
I
point,
thought there
Barbara,
was.
there's one thing that we do seem to be united on. I don't think any of us wants like a giant library. We all want to keep it moderately sized with accessibility. That's like the only thing we seem to want.
Yeah. Yes. Right.
I was
Can't get that from the grant.
at Oktoberfest. I talked to
Mitch Cohen.
Yeah, Mitch Cohen for quite a while, and he was pointing out, and he has a lot of building experience with the school building, and now in Northborough he's on the board of the library board, and he's on the select board, and he's involved with all these building projects and stuff like that. And he was, saying how he felt that the MBLC requires way more than what one needs. I mean, and that was sort of an eye opener to me that he said that. And but I think we as a group have to decide, well, do we want to go with the MBLC stuff? Because it is pushing us pushing me anyway, outside of what I think we actually need.
Okay, but we're going to put that aside, Ellie, and we're still going to go back to, I understand that, and I understand where you're coming from, but we have to keep in mind that we're working with the community. We need to have, I understand, and I'm all for it. If we were to be able to raise enough funds on our own, like Betty had suggested, and how we've always talked about putting the elevator on the back of the building, and Justin mentioned it a while back. In fact, he brought it up at the selectmen's meeting, of being able to bring out the building itself to square that off wherever the elevator is. So that would be your entryway. And then you'd have that much space, whether you do 2 floors or 3, and work with that. And go inside there, making that your handicap entrance to the parking lot and the bathroom. So that's a thought of working towards continuing fundraising to show our good faith in what we're doing, and going with the bigger budget for next year, with extended hours, more programming. I mean, there's amazing programming that could be going on weekly for all ages, all times a day. So that's a thought. Anyhow, I digress. We're back to the first thing is space, alternate space. Are we done with that? I'm not sure where we want to go from here. I'm going to get up and walk away for a minute and you guys talk, and I'll be back. So, I have hip trouble right now, so I'm having trouble getting up. But I'll be back.
Again, I missed a little bit of it. We haven't voted on anything today, right?
No, right.
Okay, but I don't know. The point of 2 of us being missing, but we do have a quorum. If we wanted, I don't know if we have a deadline. Justin, do we have any kind of deadline in order to decide about the MBLC grant?
I mean, if we're going to apply in March 2024, we need to know soon.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if we're not going to, then it takes a lot of pressure off, So
Right.
then we.
Right. And are there, I don't know, this is going on a different route, but are there other grants for libraries? Like there's other historic grants, right? It's not just the MBLC.
Not really for library construction.
Okay.
Because any other granting organization you apply to is going to count against you the fact that you're not going through the MBLC construction process.
Okay.
It's like you have specific library construction money going on. Why are you applying for cultural art and heritage institution money?
Okay. Okay, because until I said that, I just realized that we kind of are united in that we don't want mega library.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know how to go about it.
I take a mega library. I mean, I'm not against a mega library.
But it's going to be in another location.
I don't know if anyone is adamantly opposed to not even consider a second location. I'm open to it. It sounds like most people are open to it. So I think in this whole process, we have to also be willing to give up some control, because we either have to work with the MBLC and we might not be able to control, we won't be able to control every detail of the process. But even if we don't do the grant this time or next time, if we go to the town to ask for money, which we will have to do, that will be a give and take process as well. And we might still have to consider a second site. So I think we need to keep that in mind. We might not be able to get exactly what we want on everything. We won't be able to. So if we touch the building at all, we need to be able to be a little bit flexible in how, the outcome might be. I think we'd have more control if we went through the town, I assume, but I don't know.
Well, one thing, we need the town to support it though, because we're not talking about the one-time building project. We're talking about the long-term sustainability aspect and the operation of the budgets, and that's going to be larger. So that really has to be part of the consideration.
Yeah.
And starting now with asking for operational money, for more open hours, or that's going to be telling. I think potentially telling as to the support we have in the town.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I will just say I don't think we're ready to do the MBLC grant round this time. There's a lot of open questions. That's
Well,
my
I would,
opinion. That's
I
my
would
opinion.
entertain a motion.
What was
What?
that?
I'm sorry. I thought people were, Kate said she didn't see a point in moving forward.
Not that I don't see a point. I just don't think that we're ready right now.
Okay. No, I agree.
I was wondering if we needed that vote. I guess that's why I was asking in a roundabout way about if we voted on any.
Trustees
We
have already
voted on
voted
it.
not to apply.
We
for
voted
the
on
MBLC.
another
It is
meeting.
true.
Already done that, so.
So I think the question, now is what do we do with the building program? Because there's options. I mean, there's options. There's start preparing for the 2029 grant round, or not, and try to do something different. There is, try to. There, yeah, I mean, I could see two paths, regarding that. Like if we like definitely are planning on trying to do this in 2029, we could either fundraise as much as we can with the building program that we have, do all the legwork, the footwork, the research in the interim 5 years, tell the town we're going to be ready to pull the trigger. And if it gets voted down, we're going to take all that money we raised, and instead of getting a brand new library, you're going to get an elevator tacked onto the back of this one. And then we will do the minimum necessary to get what we have handicapped accessible, because the town's spoken on it twice in 2 generations, and came to the same outcome. Or
That's
plan on applying in 2029 and try to make steps in the interim towards handicapped accessibility, knowing that anything we do now has to be built around later. But also knowing that, anything we invest in this building in the meantime is going to make it more attractive to stay into, if that's a long-term goal.
Right. Right. That's a good.
Or, I mean, fundraise, or
Okay,
go out
let's
to bid
get
right
one.
now. And I mean, there's options.
So again,
Try to meet some billionaires. Everybody try to meet billionaires.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I
Well, we've
bought
been trying that.
I'm
Powerball.
working on Stephen King. I'm one of his constant readers. So
One of them is eyeballing how this knife raffle goes. So
Yeah.
but I think we need to, we really just need to, let's make a decision. Here we are, and I understand it. We're overwhelmed. We've been overwhelmed so many times. People who've been on this board for a period of time can understand the frustration that you go through time after time, but we keep saying we're going to do it right. So, I am looking for any type of motion or guidance as to where we should go right now.
Well, apparently you're supposed to do a motion in a positive way, not to influence anybody. And so the motion that I made the last time to not apply was the wrong way to do it. So I'll make a motion, and this isn't just to make it positive so that we're not influencing anybody, that we apply for the MBLC grant in March of 2024.
Do I hear a second?
Second,
Discussion?
Why do we have to do that when we already did it?
Because it's a more positive way of doing it. And then if we reject it, then we reject it.
Right. Betty is, what's your name? Ellie.
Yeah.
Ellie's right.
Call us all
You know,
Betty.
I'm looking at the names. Well,
Everyone's
I'm
Betty
looking
here.
at the faces and names, except I'm looking at one telephone and I'm looking at one post picture, so I'm not sure. So anyhow. All right, so we have a second. Do we have discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of applying for the grant that's due in March 2024, please say aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, what do we say?
We don't
No.
know.
no, if you're opposed, you say no.
Opposed. Just say
No.
opposed.
It's yes or no, Kate. Didn't you learn this?
I want to say nay. Like, why do you say I?
Right.
Nay, the way it's been since 1520.
I know, right?
All right, any abstained? All right, then it's a unanimous decision. Thank you for taking that step, Ellie. So we have decided as a Board of Trustees to not pursue the grant that's due, the MLBC grant that's due March of 2024. So that's done. That's off the agenda. Now, that was the only thing on the agenda. So what I would like to do is, for our next meeting, a regular meeting, is to put in under new business next steps, or would it fall under new business, Ellie?
That doesn't seem like new business.
It's in part of the building program is part of
Yeah.
the whole
All right, so then
old business.
we'll do next steps under that, if you can add that. And I think we're good, right? Are we good?
Yep.
We're good. I know what I'm doing now. That's a relief to know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Now, before we leave, I want to, as trustees, and we're talking about continuing fundraising. Those bids are open on the auction.
Yes.
I've been outbid already. I'm on there. So
And if
good
you know
luck.
anybody who wants to pick up knife raffle tickets, please, God, send them.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's
That's a
gonna be
huge one.
Christmas present for somebody.
And do you know, I haven't added up everything. When I come down to the library later today, I will have a check for Justin, but I haven't added it all up, what I owe you, for the building, with interest stuff. What, do you happen to know how much has been raised with the knife stuff today? I mean,
I can tell you if you let me run up and downstairs real quick.
No, that's okay. But
Yeah, I think it's just shy of 4,000. I know it was $3,000 and some odd.
Oh, great.
And then
Oh,
we
my
raised
Lord. Oh, that's
$280
awesome.
during, but almost all of that has been by the man who built the knife.
Yeah.
He walks in different circles than we do, and he has friends who will buy like 10, a dozen, 50 tickets a piece.
Well, can we put something on social media that I'm not good at that.
Dawn, are you able to do that?
Yeah, I'm just not sure what I'm doing. Like,
I mean, I can do that. I can put a social media thing out.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's been on there, right? Just
Mhm.
repeat.
The knife
Just
itself.
repeat it. Just keep
Reminder.
repeating it every
Yeah,
week.
put it up
Yeah,
there every couple days. Yeah.
the
I
sign
can
is
do
really
that.
great. It's so visible.
Hmm?
The sign is great. It's so visible.
My thick is still in the room. It didn't fall down. That shelf is still standing. For those of you who don't know, the worst possible thing that can happen in a library, well, it's not the worst possible thing, but like every librarian, has nightmares of the shelves falling over and all the books, and that happened in the basement this morning. We tried to put too many picture books on one of the shelves that was mounted to the back wall in the story time room, and it just ripped the anchors right out of the wall.
Oh, jeez.
And sent the books all over the story time room. It happened when no one was in there. So I am so grateful. I can't even be mad about it happening.
Lord. Man, we were just talking about that this weekend, about things falling over on young children. Wow.
Wow.
Oh my.
And they were picture books too. I mean, like,
I know.
a shelf might have 20 hardbacks. That same shelf will have 75 freaking picture books.
And they're heavier because you got all that heavy cardboard in fewer pages, so it's more and more heavy stuff. And yeah, people don't consider that.
Yeah, they're not consistent sizes either, are they?
They're not.
Yeah, and
No.
that's the problem.
So they can be top heavy. If you got to make sure you put, I have a shelf downstairs in my playroom for the kids, and I know it's not up to code. So I make sure I put all the heavier things down at the bottom.
One of our survey results was, or questions was, why do you separate paperbacks from hardcover? Because it's so annoying to have a series and you've got like 5 of them in hardcover and then a couple of them in paperback, so you've got to go somewhere else. And so, one of the reasons you got to distribute the weight on the bottom, and paperbacks between hardbacks just get smushed.
Right.
I should make a video.
That'd be
What
cool.
happens to paperbacks whenever you try to put them on
we don't
hardback
wanna
shelves?
see that. All right, so
Anyway.
I think we reached our goal today. We're gonna move forward, and I'm gonna be in touch with the 2 trustees who weren't here today, just to see what's up, because this was a really important meeting and we're supposed to be united and whatever. Okay, so I'll get off of my soapbox right now, and I'll thank everyone for your patience with me. First of all, thinking it was at 5 o'clock, when Barbara said to me, I have to leave at 5:20. I'm like, well, how are you going to
20 minutes.
anything between now and that in 20 minutes? And it goes, okay. I'm so sorry. I appreciate your patience with me. And
Well, thank you, Danielle, for your hard work and
oh God, I do nothing.
trying to lead us.
I'm trying.
Hurting our cats.
It's like it's kind of like hurting cats, but that's okay.
We were, it was a unanimous decision. We were united.
It was.
It's a decision
And
that
I
town
have to-
administration agrees
and-
with. So, this
and-
isn't, I hope we
and-
don't walk away from this discouraged, because we're
No,
still
absolutely
making.
not. No, and I have to put kudos out to Ellie for wording it in a proactive way that we were all able to vote and make it clear. So I appreciate that. So anyhow, on that note, I'm leaving.
See you in a couple weeks.
All right.